Hey guys, so since there's been a lot of attention around my recent video where I used Google Maps and hyperlapse, I decided to make a tutorial for you. This tutorial got quite long, so make sure you have the required time to watch it. I'm sure it will be worth your time. There's a lot of my tricks in this tutorial, so I'm sure you will find it useful. So yeah, let's head into After Effects. Alright guys, welcome into After Effects. This is where I do most of my post-production of my videos. This is the project that I use to create my video of with hyperlapses and Google Maps. So it's a pretty large project. I have like 149 layers in this composition. So yeah, it got pretty long and pretty complex. But in this video, I'm going to try and take you through a little passage of my video. Piece that I'm going to try and show you how to make is this piece. I'm going to try and take you through step by step, going from the Google Maps perspective and down into 3D and transitioning more or less seamlessly over to my hyperlapse of this church spire in Copenhagen. It's like a handheld hyperlapse that I did down in the street perspective, and I pretty much nailed the illusion to go from air perspective into street and then back into the air. So we're gonna try and take you through these steps of making this making these clips fit seamlessly. So I have this folder here on my desktop where I have 3 screen captures that I did in Google Maps, just in my Google Chrome browser. So these are just screen captures made with OBS Studio, recorded in 4K. So if you have a 4K monitor or the possibility to record in 4K, that would be an advantage, because the 4K resolution will give you a little bit more leeway to work with in post-production, because we're just gonna make this video 1080p. So recording in 4K, we have 4 times the resolution to work with to zoom in and out and stuff. So I have these 3 screen captures. This is one is like the final part, going from 3D perspective and up to the air perspective, and they're pretty easy to make inside Google Maps, using control and then your mouse to just maneuver around the map in 3D perspective. And this one I actually had to record while I moved my cursor across the screen to create this move, going down toward the street down here, where I made my hyperlapse. So I kind of had to go from this view and down to this view, manually. So I just hit record in OBS Studio, and I made the move myself with just holding down control and then using my mouse. So we're gonna speed this up later to make it more seamless. And then finally I have my hyperlapse clip. So we're gonna head into After Effects again. So the reason I'm doing this in After Effects is because you can do pretty much anything in After Effects. You have so many possibilities to work with 3D layers and 3D camera motion. So I'm just gonna make a new project. Yeah, I'm used to having 2 4K monitors side by side, and I can only record on on one monitor at the time. So I'm just gonna try and show for you guys, and I'm gonna create a new composition. Let's make it 1920 by 1080, 2997 frames per second, and just let's make it 15 seconds long. And sometimes I go into here under motion blur, under the advanced tab in my composition settings. I just increase the amount of motion blur just a little bit. The default is 180 in shutter angle. I increase this a little bit, and we can take the samples per frame up to like 22. That will increase our motion blur a little bit more. Let me just rearrange these things. Yeah, first gonna try and bring this one in. This is like a rotation move I did in Google Maps, just a screen record, because the direction I ended up with in Google Maps was not quite right for me to transition into the street down here. So I had to just rotate the map a little bit. So I just did a simple screen record of that. And this is 4K, so we can just scale this down to 50. You can see we have my browser and my tool line on the edges here. So we're just going to select my clip and hit G to bring up the mask tool, and we're just going to crop this frame a little bit to get rid of the edges, and then just scale it a little bit back up. This is the advantage of having 4K. You can just scale it up and down pretty much like you want in a 1080p timeline. So yeah, we have this rotation clip. I'm just gonna cut it a little bit. So we just have the rotation move, and it's quite slow as well. So I think I'm gonna just stretch it to like 50%. So this will make it double speed. So that's more like it. This is like the move I did from map perspective into 3D. So we're gonna scale this down to 50% and just crop the edges off with the mask tool. So actually I think I'm going to bring this clip back to 50 again, because we need to create a null object that will like control the position of our clips, and we need to create a camera, and just make it a 2-node camera. That's fine. So we're just going to make these go edge to edge, and then I have my hyperlapse clip. So this is shot on my DSLR Canon 5D. So this is like 5K resolution. We need to bring that way down. And I'm gonna make these two Google Maps layers 3D. Oh, 3D, pushing this, because we need to let the camera control the zoom from the one frame into the other. So I'm gonna just take this top layer, just let it overlap a little bit, turn the opacity to 50%, then I can actually, because I need to, this one is this is more zoomed out, but this is more zoomed in than this one, so I need to scale this one down in order to fit it on top of this one, so we can like make a seamless zoom toward the spire here. So I'm just going to turn the opacity down and scale this one down. Might need to bring it up to full resolution to see what's going on. So the spire is there. I need to just make this one fit more or less. It doesn't have to be perfect because the move will happen rather quickly. So you won't see if it's not really perfect. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. There will always be some sort of distortion in Google Maps when you zoom out and in, but this is how it looks with the zoomed in layer on top of the wide angle layer, so to say. So we need to just get rid of these black bars out here. So what we're gonna do is these two Google Maps layers, we're just gonna parent them to the null. So this means whatever I do on the null layer will happen to these two layers as well, because they are parented to the null. So I can just scale it a little bit up here and get rid of the black bars. And as you can see, the middle layer, or the layer that I just scaled down, is like sticking to the null. So whenever I move the null, both of these layers will move with it. Yeah, I think that's just fine. So we need to just zoom down to fill the frame with the upper layer here, because this is what contains all the quality when we zoom in. If we just zoomed in on this white layer here, like made a heavy crop, the picture would be very pixelated and lacking quality. So this is the whole idea, to capture multiple screen dumps at different altitudes to make sure that you never lose quality, even when zooming very far in. So on my camera layer, I just put this on top and make sure that these two layers are 3D by pushing this box button here. So this gives me like 3 axes to work with, and this one here to the far right is like the zoom. So you can see when I zoom in, both layers are affected because they are both 3D. I can hold down Shift to just zoom in a little bit quicker when I move the mouse. And yeah, I can see the edges of the zoomed in layer. So just to make sure I don't zoom in too far. And yeah, the point of interest should be used to adjust the position. If you take one of the axes here, you will kind of like distort the image like this, and that's not what we want. So just use the point of interest and the one to the far right here to zoom. So this is pretty much where we want to be when we're zoomed in. So I'm just gonna hit my keyframes here, turn down to half quality again, and I think I can just push reset. Yeah, so that will take it back to the first point. So now we have this nice little zoom made with 3D camera. Yeah, so this is pretty much how it looks. We need to just enable the motion blur for the composition, so we will have a little bit more blur. So this motion blur will kick in whenever I move these layers around in the frame. And since we are zooming in, the motion blur just kicks in a little bit. I think we need to make this move a little bit faster to increase the motion blur and like hide this transition from one frame to the other. Yeah, this looks pretty good. You barely notice the change in frames. What you can do to hide it even more is to like make this layer fade in slowly by keyframing the opacity from 0 to 100 during the camera move. That way it will slowly fade in when the move itself is happening. So as you can see, that will like hide the transition from the zoomed out to the zoomed in frame. So it helps makes it all a bit more seamless. So now we need to go from this perspective down into 3D perspective and ultimately down to the street level and the hyperlapse. So right here it starts to like move. Yeah. So I think we're just gonna move our keyframes to here and just make the clip start here, because that's where I actually make my move. Yeah, that's pretty much perfect. And you can make it a little bit more smooth by making these keyframes ease out and these ease in, so that way the move will have a little bit more smooth. You can even go into graph editor and like fine tune them even more, but I'm not gonna go into detail with this in this tutorial. It's like a tutorial for itself using graph editor. So we need to have this move. I think this is even too slow, so I think I'm just gonna take it down to 25%. Yeah, that's a bit better, I think, because we need to have the move happen so quickly that you won't see all these graphic flaws and things that don't really look that good. Yeah, might even have to speed it up even further. Let's make it 15. Yeah, just need to fiddle around with it a little bit to make it look right. It can be very time consuming to like fine tune these clips with speed and stuff. I think I'm pretty close. Yeah, I think that's good. And to even make this more blurry and to make it all more seamless, we need to hit frame blending right here and on this layer as well. This is gonna be quite CPU intensive and take a lot of your computer power, so but in brief it will like blend your frames forward and backwards when you speed up your clip and like create this nice motion blur around the subject. I think I'm just going to turn it off for now because it takes a lot of computer power. So let's bring in the hyperlapse clip. It's right there. Okay, so we need to transition from this view into this view. And I just made this hyperlapse from the street level and with the spire here as a fixed point, moving like towards it and around it and then down another street. So the cool thing we can do here is to go down from Google Maps onto the street here and then go up again from this street here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna overlap the hyperlapse just a little bit, and I think I'm gonna I need to just cut the beginning away and I need to speed it up like double speed. Yeah. And actually I think I'm gonna just have a slow gradual scale up of this this 3D move, just to be able to line it up with the spire. And notice this is not full resolution. It's like third resolution. I'm just having a low resolution preview in order to work with it properly and show you guys how this are done. Yeah, that's not the way to do it. I need to have the camera. Yeah, just gonna zoom in this way. So I'm gonna have the transition happen as this move is occurring. So I need to line up the spire from this clip to this clip. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna hit the hyperlapse clip and G on my keyboard, and then draw a mask around the subject here, which is the spire. And then I can go into my mask layer and mask opacity and turn that down to 50%. That way I can try and overlap the spire from this clip to this clip. Obviously the perspective is the perspective is from above here, but it's actually possible to make this transition seamless even though the perspective is a bit different. So we're just going to try and align the spire. So I'm gonna hit position, scale and rotation on this layer, and position, scale and set rotation on this layer. This layer is 3D, so we have another axis to work with, but we're not gonna need that to create the transition. And the mask is gonna have a little bit of a feather to blur it out, and put keyframes to all the mask functions here. And I'm gonna go forward until the move is like stopping, which is right there. And I'm gonna pick my hyperlapse layer and align the spire once again. Just gonna put it up to full resolution preview to see what's going on. So it's pretty close that we're having the tower match. So we're just gonna check. So this duration right here between the keyframes, that's our transition, and we can speed it up or slow it down as we want. But I'm just gonna check throughout the transition that the spires are aligned properly. I think that's pretty good. And in the beginning as well. You really have to fiddle a bit around with it because the hyperlapse clip are like moving because I'm moving towards the spire. So this clip are actually moving from the beginning, and the map clip is not. So there's a little bit of tweaking that has to be done to make it track, to make the two layers track each other perfectly. I think this is pretty close. So we're gonna go to the end, bring this up to 100%, and then we're gonna enable motion blur for the hyperlapse layer, and we're gonna take the mask opacity to 100%, so this way we will see the tower 100%, and we will take the mask expansion out, so this will expand the mask as the transition is happening. The feathering we might need to take up a little bit more to feather out the edge here. And we're actually hitting the edge of the hyperlapse clip here, so that won't work, obviously. We need to just Just bring it down, scale it up. Yeah, this takes a lot of patience. It's not for everyone, I can tell that. So now I have messed up my scaling because I wasn't aware of the hyperlapse clip not fitting the frame, so I just have to align it. Yeah, I think we need to take the map footage just a bit down and scale it up a little bit to fit the proportions of the hyperlapse spire. So I think this is pretty close. Obviously we need to bring this down so it will fit better. Yeah, this is pretty good, I think. So mask opacity 0 at the beginning of the transition, and it will gradually move up to 100% at the very end. So we have our mask expansion at 1800 now. We need to bring it up a bit further to fill up the frame. Yeah, once you work with multiple layers and cameras and nulls and masks, it just takes up a lot of computer power. So I might even need to scale it up even further to fill the frame. There we go. Just gonna try and see if we can just perfect the maps layer. I think this is about it. So I think we're quite close to the transitions that I made in my main composition in my video. So we're just gonna let it render out and see how it works. And again, this transition has to happen maybe even faster than we made it here, in order to blur it out and hide the fact. Yeah, it's not bad, but obviously we have to make it a bit faster, because you do really see the transition from the one frame to the other. So just gonna see. We need to speed this clip up, obviously, even more. So I think I'm gonna put it to 6%. Just yeah. So you need to rearrange your keyframes when you adjust your speed. So aligning the keyframes. So since the bottom layer is now a bit faster, the keyframes will follow like the pace. So you just have to rearrange your keyframes from the top layer. Yeah, and now I just messed up the timing where the clip comes in. So you can see it's an ongoing grind just to like fiddle around with all this. So now I have to let's see. Yeah. Okay. So right now it's actually zooming in as the 3D rotation takes place. So it works quite well. It looks pretty cool. It's like zooming into the 3D move itself. So let's enable this top layer once again and see if it works. Yeah, it's not really perfect. It's we need to just adjust the hyperlapse layer even further. Because we sped up the map clip, so we need to just align it properly again. Put the opacity to 50% so we can see the layer just beneath. I think it's quite well aligned. Back to 100. Let's see it again. Just this one to 0. Yeah, I think we're getting pretty close now. This could be fine-tuned even more. I think the mask is expanding a bit too quick, so we can take that down just a bit. Let's see. Yeah, that helped a little bit. So the important thing is to let the transition happen as this move occurs, because it will like hide the fact that we're moving from the air to street level, even though we don't have the whole like move down to the street. But I think it's quite reasonable. You can see it just fades in slowly. Maybe we could drag if we make all these keyframes ease out on both layers. It will enhance the smoothness a little bit, and all these keyframes should be ease in. So that might make it all a little bit smoother, but it's like you just have to spend your time and fiddle around with it for hours on end to make it look right. I'm just gonna try and bring this expansion down a little bit, because I think it's expanding a bit too quick. Right now we can see the edges coming out. Yeah, we just need to make it. Let's see if this helps. Yeah, I think we're close to having it. It's pretty seamless. We could do some color grading from the map clip to the hyperlapse to make the colors fit a bit more. We might have to do this to make this transition perfect, but what I want to do now is to make the transition from this street level, from this angle, and up to 3D's perspective once again. We're gonna use this clip for this. Once again, we're just gonna crop off the edges here. And now I'm gonna bring this top layer, which is the layer that I'm transitioning into. I'm gonna draw a mask around, which is not working because I already have a mask on this layer. So what I need to do is to pre-comp this layer and do the cropping with my mask inside the pre-composed composition, and that will give us the layer out here with nothing applied. So what I'm gonna do is draw a mask around the tower once again, to like have this as the subject, as the reference point. So I'm actually just gonna line it up with the tower here, and this transition will happen very fast as well. So just gonna make some quick keyframes here, go forward a few frames. Bring this to 100 and reset the position. And keyframes from the mask, and %. And I might actually be able to move this clip up in order to fit the map footage a little better. Just scale it a little bit. We got plenty of resolution to work with, so it's not really a problem. Just bring the frame up a little bit, and then we're actually able to fit this, to match them up quite nicely. And you can scale this up quite a lot because the transition is happening so fast that you don't see the flaws. And then I have to bring this footage down. To match it up once again. Yeah, that was too much. There we go. And then we need to bring the mask expansion way out and the feather up as well. Mask expansion around 1500, I think. And the mask opacity to 100%. And we have like a small black edge up here, so we're just gonna push it up a little bit. So I think that our transition is gonna be pretty much done. Yeah, it works pretty good, I think. So this clip also contains the move from like 3D perspective up to this view, which I just made as a screen capture in Google Maps. So we're just gonna move our keyframes to the point where the move is starting. It's right there. And match the keyframes with the ones from the bottom layer. So that way we will have it zoom out and then go up to 3D perspective almost instantly. So yeah guys, that's pretty much how I did my transitions of this little bit of my video. I don't know how long it's been, but as you can see, it's time-consuming work. It requires a lot of patience to get it all right. So, but once you get the technique underneath your fingers, it's really it's not that complicated. And this technique is like 90% of all the transitions in my video. So yeah, the full length video took me like 2 weeks of post-production work to finish. So yeah, it's time-consuming stuff, but I hope you can use this this tutorial for something inspirational to go out and try this for yourself. And if you like it, I might consider to make like a series of other tutorials about my hyperlapse work or time-lapse work in general, and my post-processing techniques, because yeah, I've really developed a lot of tricks and like things I've developed myself to like make my work unique. So please tell me if you'd like more tutorials like this. This one got a little bit in depth, but I think it's worth it because it really shows how long I spent on my work and what it really requires to make it the perfect quality. So yeah, please let me know in the comments what you think, and I'll see you next time, I guess.